Hi guys, today we're going to talk about vectors, alright? So vectors represent direction and length, and when we see them in GCSE, we see these as lines which are represented by letters. So we're going to look at a few of these today. So we'll start with this one here. Ooh. So we've got A, alright? So this is our vector A, alright? And it tells us it goes from bottom left up to top right, and so this is our vector A. And so the arrow tells us which way it's moving as well, okay? If we look at here, across at B, so this is shorter, so it's not as far, so it's got a shorter length, and it's got a different direction to A. All right, so we can see that B actually points down to the right. And now with vectors, what we can do is we can actually add these up. And so if I want to do A plus B, have a look over here, I've got A, and then I add on B, and I end up with this. This is called my resultant vector, all right? So when I have A plus B, what I do is I take A, add B, and I end up with moving a similar direction to A, but it's just up there. Okay, so hopefully that makes some sense. We're going to apply this to some questions now as well. Okay, so these are typical GCSE exam questions. All right, so the first one, we've got OPT as a triangle, and M is the midpoint of OP. So that means at this point here, M is directly in between, midway between O and P. Okay, we're told that the line from O to T, so the line from O to T, this one here, is given by vector A. And we're also told that T to P is given by vector B. So from T to P, we're told that is vector B. And the arrows show us which way they're pointing. Okay. Our question is, express O to M in terms of A to B. The first thing we need to do is to work out the distance from O to P. And then we can just half it to find M. So we're going to first of all find O to P. All right. So we've got O to P. And to do that, we can't get there straight away. So what we've got to do is we've got to take kind of a long route round. So we're going to start off at O, we're going to go to T, and then we're going to go end up at P. Okay, and we're looking for our resultant vectors. How much have we moved in terms of A and B? So hopefully you can see it's the length from O to T, and then we've gone also from T to P. Or more simply, what we've done is we've moved along A, and then we've gone up B. So we've gone A plus B. So we can say that O to P is A plus B. Alright, so we're almost there. Okay. But next up we've got that we're not looking for O to P, we're looking for O to M. And so hopefully you can see that O to M is half the distance of O to P. So if we're told that O to P is A plus B, then that means that O to M must be half of O to P. Which means it is a half of A plus B, and you can leave it like that, or you can expand it and say it's a half of A plus a half of B. And this kind of makes sense. So if you do here, if you just went along and I went a half of A and I did a half of B, I'd end up, so this is half A and this is a half B. We can see that it kind of makes sense. Always check to see whether the answer makes sense. Alright, so we've got half A plus a half B, and that is our O to M. Now it gets a bit trickier. So we've got question B here. So we're expressing T to M in terms of A and B. Give your answer in its simplest form. Now this one's a bit trickier. What I've got to do first to get from T to M is, if we look at it, my first direction is probably best off that I go from T to O and then O to M. Alright, I've already worked out what O to M is. O to M I've worked out is a half A plus a half B. So I want to go from T to O and then from O to M. Okay, so T to M, I want to do T to O plus O to M, and that gets me from T to M in the end. Alright, so O to M, I already know what that is, and so next up I've just got to work out from T to O. Now if I know that O to T, from there to there, I know that's positive A, so to work backwards, hopefully you realise it's just going to be the reverse, it's going to be negative A. So I end up with minus A, so I've got minus A, and then I'm going to end up with plus a half A plus a half B. And then so if I've got minus A plus a half of A, I end up with, that ends up with minus a half A plus a half of B. Okay, and that's my final answer there. Alright, so a bit trickier that one there, a little bit trickier. So what I've done is I've taken my minus A here, taken my minus A, and I've added on a half A. Minus 1 plus a half is minus a half, plus a half B that I'm still left over with, and that's my final answer. Okay. Okay, we're going to look at a slightly different problem now. Obviously, rewatch that if you struggle with it. Number 2, so this one here, same sort of thing. So I've got O to A, I'm told is A. Okay, so I've got O to A, I'm told is A, and I'm also told that O to B is B. Sorry, O to B down here is B. Okay, so find the vector A to B in terms of A and B. That one's quite easy. So I want to go from here, A, down to B. Obviously, I'm not told a vector for this one here, so I've got to go in the other direction. So I've got to go from A to O, and then from O to B. All right. So I'm told that A to B I can find by going from A to O plus O to B. Okay. So again, this is fairly easy, but this time I want to go from A to O. Can you see this is positive A going in that direction? So I want to go the other direction. I have to go minus A. So I'm going to end up with minus A, and then from O to B is just going to be plus B. And that's my answer. So it's minus A plus B, and that's got me a full mark there. Okay. Next up, I've got P as the point AB, such that AP to PB is 3 to 2. So you've got to kind of review ratios. If you don't know ratios, make sure you go and have a look at these. First thing I want to do is look at what fraction I've got here. All right. So I know that this length here from A to P is the 3 bit, and this bit here from P to B is the 2 bit. Okay. But I've got to work out what fraction that is. So this one here, I've got 3 plus 2 equals 5. So I know this is going to be 3/5, and this one's going to be 2/5. Okay. So using that, I want to find O to P. All right. So the first thing I know is O to A. So I've got O to P is going to end up with O going up to A on the top, and then from A to P. So plus A to P. O to A is quite easy. I'm already told that is just A, and now I've got to work out A to P. Okay. And that one is quite tricky because it's going to be, let's have a look, we've got A to P is going to be 3/5, because I've got from here, A to P is 3/5 of the total distance of A to B. Now I've already worked out what A to B is, so I know it's going to be 3/5 of this one here minus A plus B. Okay, and so what I end up with is, down here I've got A plus 3/5 times by minus A plus B, and so I end up with A, 3/5 times minus A is minus 3/5 A, and then 3/5 of B is plus 3/5 of B, and then all we've got to do is do some simplifying. So I've got A take away 3/5, I end up with 2/5, and then 3/5 of B is plus 3/5 of B, and I'm almost done, but all I've got to do is get from this expression here, and I've got to show that is equivalent to this one here, and hopefully you can see all they've done is just factorise it to take a 5th out the bracket. So I'm going to end up, oh, just realised I missed an A there. Okay, and so all I've got to do here is equals 1/5 times by 2A plus 3B, and then I am done. Okay, that's it, and then we've got one more to look at here, and this one here, we've got a triangle OA. So you should hopefully know what this means. I've got to find AB in terms of A and B. So same thing, I've got to get from A to B, and this time I've got to work backwards, so I've got to get from A to O plus O to B. So I end up by going backwards, I've got to go minus A and then plus B again, so same thing. Okay. Next up I've got P as a point, so that AP to PB is 2 to 1. So I know that A to P is 2 and the P to B is 1. And now this time, because they've got 3 parts, 2 plus 1 equals 3. So I know this is 2/3 and 1/3. Okay. Next up, I've got to find the vector O to P. So it's quite similar to the one we did last time. So I know that O to P is going to be O to A plus A to P. Okay. And so O to A, I'm already given is A. And at this one, I've got A to P. I know this time it's going to be 2/3 of the line of A to B, so I end up with plus 2/3 of A to B, which is minus A plus B, and so I end up with A minus 2/3 A plus 2/3 B, which equals 1/3 A plus 2/3 B. Okay. I hope that's made some sense. If not, then what I'll do is have a look on My Maths. There's some good stuff on vectors there, vectors 1 and vectors 2, and just go through it. Have a look at the form now, and best of luck. Thank you guys.